Dude, what's going on with you today? Hey everybody, I want to discuss rates out here on the road. I want to start off by saying, and this is to everybody out here in the transportation industry, whether we're in the vans, whether we're in the big trucks, flatbed, reefers, oversized, straight trucks, I don't care. The money is out there, man. There is money to be, given on these loads, even though, whatever dispatch any of us are with or big companies we're with, they tell us otherwise. A little understanding of what goes on, man. You got a customer that wants to ship freight, and they contact whichever carrier, whichever logistics, company about hauling their freight. Now that customer dealing with that initial carrier, there's a good amount of money being handed from, between those two. And I know some of you out here, I know a lot of you guys have seen or heard, some of the amounts of money that's been paid for some of these loads, and you realize you got like a fraction of that. The money is still being paid to have freight shipped. It's just unfortunately, after the money gets handed to that initial carrier, that broker then, majority of the time will put it out onto the bid board and let them just fight away at it. Because they may not, that initial carrier that is signed on, I shouldn't even call them a carrier, but that initial company that made the deal with the customer may not even have any vehicles or have very few vehicles. So their intent the whole time was to get that load and broker it out. And once that load gets put out onto the bid board, now it's like, it's a feeding frenzy. And you've got other brokers out there that are doing the same thing that first broker did. They're going after whatever they can get, bid on it, try and get as many of those loads as they can, and then they turn around and flip it, so to speak, and make a few dollars off of it by letting some more people fight over, some more brokers or dispatches. So as you know where that leads to. So that's what's going on one side of it. Then you get on the other side of it, another issue is drivers coming out on the road. Man, that's a bad accident right there. That was an old lady too. Looked like she was alright and everything, but she tore that shit up. Anyhow, my bad. But anyhow, the other part of it, after, aside from that point, is you get drivers that come out here, and especially the drivers that, I'm just trying to figure out the right way to put this, man, but you got drivers come out here that are just broke, man. They're flat ass broke. And it's an easy ass industry to get into, and because it's such an easy industry, like I said, you're going to attract those people that are fucking just doing bad, man. So, may have a bad record, just may have a bad work ethic, whatever it may be, man. This industry does, get a lot of people in bad circumstances. Now, that being said, they come out here, and some of those might get lucky enough and get put on with a good fleet owner or a good company that's going to teach them right, and hopefully, maybe some of these guys have a little common sense to them and can, learn the industry a little better and start to learn the right way to do things. But for the most part, these guys come out here, get with a fleet owner or a company that specifically goes after drivers that are in a bad situation, because they want to take advantage of that driver. They know that driver's desperate. They know that they can milk, whatever they know they can milk something out of that guy, man. That guy's desperate. And, again, a lot of those guys that come into the industry under that pretense, they don't even understand the industry. So now it's twofold. You're desperate for money, and you don't even know what the hell you're supposed to be getting when you come out here. So unfortunately, you got these fleet owners that take advantage of drivers like this, and these fleet owners, these shitty ass fleet owners, and like that, they'll tell whatever company they're leased on with, man, just run it. You know, they're paying the driver shit. They're paying them nothing, and because they're paying them nothing, you know, it's nothing to them to have a shitty van or a shitty truck or whatever. That's another part of it. They put shit vehicles out there. They're trying to squeeze any bit of money they can out of that driver, out of that shitty truck that they have very little money invested in, and they'll just keep flipping that, man. They'll keep flipping the drivers. They'll keep flipping the vehicles. And these drivers, when they're desperate out here, you know, as I said, they get out here, they're desperate already, and then they start getting paychecks and they realize, damn, man, I ain't making shit. So now they think in order to make more money, they got to run more. But they don't realize running for that cheap ass shit they're running for, they're just chasing their own tail. And, you know, because that desperation even gets worse, now they're willing to take even less, you know. It's like dispatch is going to call them, or their owner might call them and be like, hey, man, I mean, I know it's rough, but, you know, we can get you moving if you want to take it for such and such. My bad, man. My bad. But yeah, you know, they'll catch them while they're desperate and try to get them to take an even cheaper rate. So, you know, you got that part. So there's another piece of the puzzle that leads to cheap rates. Then you throw in there, you know, some of these guys that come over on a work visa, and, you know, us in van expediting, we know those yellow box vans. We know what's up with that. That's them Russians, Romanians, or what have you. And they're going to these border towns, probably everywhere else too that they can do it, but the border towns especially, and they're trying to load, you know, multiple loads, which isn't supposed to be. They're trying to haul multiple loads for multiple carriers and bidding that shit at a cheap ass rate and getting an overall rate that's, you know, satisfying the owner of that vehicle. So there's that. As I personally have talked with a carrier that does a lot of business. That's basically where their business is in and out of the border towns down there, you know, specifically Laredo. And talking to the number 2 guy in charge there, and he's telling me how he's seeing bids as low as 25 cents. 25 cents, man. And that's in the vans. I'm not talking about the big trucks, but anybody's been to Laredo, I mean, any of you guys, I know you know that the shit's bad down there. My dad, he's a owner-op of a big rig. He does oversized. Then he even says it's even bad for the big trucks when you start hitting Texas and southern Texas and the border towns. So I know you guys are feeling it too. So, you know, there's another piece added to that puzzle. You know, and you put all this together, you know, and you get guys out here that, again, they start getting desperate and don't want to sit in Laredo, and, you know, bills are needing paid. All of us have felt the squeeze of the money, man, all of us. So, you know, we've all felt the squeeze, and I know we've all taken a rate that we're not proud of taking, you know, but overall, man, it's up to us, man, as individuals to do our part, man. If each person just does their part, you know, try to talk some sense into some other drivers when you hear them talking about that cheap ass shit. You know, I have the same thing. I have a couple people I talk to, and, you know, Laredo specifically, and going out to California, I ain't doing it cheap no more, man, because it's coming out of there so cheap. So each one of you guys got to do your part and, you know, get that shit right. So that's kind of what all I wanted to touch on today, man. The point I'm trying to get across is to try and help some of you that don't understand how this works. You know, that the money's out there and everything. Also, you know, kind of a shout out to everybody, man. Try and do your part. You know, stay firm on your rates. There is freight. The freight's got to be shit, man. If everybody does their part, they got to start paying a little better. I know I'm asking a ton. I know I'm throwing a pebble into the ocean, but hey man, I'm trying to do my part, man. Everybody do their part, and who knows what can happen. You hear so many people talking about coming together, you know, trying to get everybody to come together. Then you go on these Facebook groups, and all you see these drivers talking about is you know, women and drugs and putting each other down, calling each other names, and it's sickening, man. I mean, it's cool to go out and have a little fun and shit, man, but we're all out here together, man. Whether you guys realize it, that next man in that next vehicle, he affects you. And if you don't start fucking realizing that, man, you're gonna keep being in the same situation you're in. You know, there's some of us that are still able to overcome and manage it the right way, and we're doing okay, we're getting by, or we're succeeding, or we're moving forward. Yeah, it can still happen even with the situation currently as it is. But start realizing that next man you're downgrading and you're putting down and you're dogging and you're not helping, that man is affecting that money that's going into your freaking bank account. You start getting them their shit together, help them get their shit together, you know, pick them up, man, not knock them down. And until that starts happening, man, it's going to be the same stuff out here. Same stuff. And you guys need to understand that money is being spent to have this freight ship. We're not getting our piece, and we're not getting our piece because we're not together. We aren't acting as we should. We aren't understanding our own industry that we're out here in. So yeah, man, guys, get yourself together, man. Get yourself together. Pick the next man up. I know there's some people out there that are just a lost cause, man. No matter how much you try and help them, man, they just don't get it. They just don't care, and they're out there just running them wheels until the wheels can't roll no more and move on to the next job. So I understand not everybody's gonna get fixed, man, but you know, try to get along a little better, man, and everybody try and stand their ground and do your part. Do your part. Don't take the cheap shit. You know, keep yourself out of a position of having to take that cheap shit. You know, stay out of those bad areas. And if you're going into those spots, you know, get a higher rate to where you know, you can get a solid rate coming out of there and it won't be so bad. Or you got the money just to head the hell up out of there. You know, I'm just trying to price it to where they don't even send me. So if they do send me at my price, I'm going to be okay. You know, I'm going to be taken care of. So with that being said, guys, man, like I said, pick each other up, man. Quit knocking each other down. Man, let's get out here and make this money and do this shit right. So until then, America.